Welcome to Sportsify. I'm your host, Matt Novak. Alongside me, as always, Grant Hawker.
Always.
On the third mic, as usual, Jamison Dufour.
Go Rams, baby.
We are recapping week one of the NFL season. What an incredible week it was. Lots to hit, lots to get to. We're going to run through a whole bunch of games because there was so many good talking points. Already some early injuries. Within literally moments of the season starting, someone got ejected and then eventually suspended. Fine got handed out today. That was all fun. That was just wild on Thursday night to start the season between the Eagles and the Cowboys. We're going to unpack a whole bunch, though, but genuinely so stoked that the NFL is back.
Are your bellies full, folks? Because you were feasting. We all feasted, baby. Doesn't matter if your team won or lost. There was so much to talk about. So much
Yeah,
to
some of
enjoy.
us AW, others maybe not so fortunate
No,
this week.
but you know what? Honestly, I am just appreciating that football is back and the fact that I was up and running around my living room, freaking out my cats, pounding my chest at a couple different moments. I made a realization that I love baseball, but baseball does not get those reactions out of me like football does.
Maybe like that if your team's in it. I know, Grant, we've talked about this before. You are a lifelong Mariners fan, so
Yeah.
you've not had this experience
Just
late
once,
in
just
October.
once, just once.
Yeah, but that like late October rush,
Yeah.
as a lifelong Red Sox fan, I've had some pretty dope game sevens. I think the best one of all time, in my opinion, Red Sox come back against the Yankees and the completion of that. But yeah, I know I'm going to get hit for that. Dang it. I just thought of Joe Carter hitting a home run in the World Series and some other stuff. Anyway, we don't need to talk about it.
That is peak of your sports. Whereas
Right.
with football, this
was
happens
week
every
one.
week.
This is just week one.
This is week one.
Exactly.
It's the most inconsequential week of the year in terms.
It's like the only sport that I'll watch on my knees in front of the TV. Like I'll notice that and be like, I don't do this for the Blazers. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, no, just like I legit hurt my chest at one point because I just pounded my chest so hard after a pick or a blocked field goal or something
Bro,
like that, and I was
don't-
just like, "Whew, okay, that was actually a little too intense."
Don't take
right
my
there.
blood pressure, dude. Yeah, fourth quarter, don't do it. Like,
Yeah.
man, they'd admit me to the ER like right away, especially this week in a game that we'll get to because Grant and I probably have a little bit to say about our 49ers and Seahawks playing each other. But there were some amazing games. I already alluded to the Eagles and the Cowboys contest. We're just going to move through it day by day. I think that's probably the best approach because we had games. We had a game on Thursday. We had a game on Friday. We had the slate of games on Sunday in the morning and afternoon for us on the left coast. And then the night game, which was incredible. And then the Monday night finale that was boring as crud till it wasn't. Holy cow. So I want to start on Thursday night, just go through the weekend. Eagles just squeaking past a scrappy Cowboys team that genuinely didn't play that bad. Like, I'm a hater all day of the Cowboys, documented plenty of evidence on our show here, but they didn't play bad.
No.
One guy made some mistakes. Jamison was pretty strong about his opinions about CeeDee Lamb's hosing his team. That was a very catchable ball. I think that's exactly what you hit. The one in particular that I'm referencing.
Yeah, there were at least
catches.
two of them that were like bad drops, and then the other two of them were like, okay, you're fully extending. You should probably still make that catch for the amount of money you're getting paid,
Sure.
but give it to you. And then there's one early in the game, less consequential, but you feel bad for him because first quarter he's carrying him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
uh-oh, were we maybe just like a little wrong? And it's always easy to overreact so early, but you watch that first drive and you're like, oh, this might be like the Bengals light, like everyone was talking about. Like, you gotta score 30, 35 points a night to win because
Yep.
who knows what your defense is getting. Look at your offense. And then you come out of that weather delay and there's just like a lack of focus for the rest of the game there that I think led to a lot of those drops, especially in those key moments.
Eagles didn't put up an insane amount of points or anything. They do get 3 touchdowns and a field goal. This one ends up 24-20. But and really, this game got talked about for a few reasons. One was there's a massive weather delay. That took a heck of a long time. Thunderstorms all up and down the East Coast, or some lightning in the area, that kind of thing. And so for those of you on the East Coast, I don't know what time that game ended, but that sucks.
It was late here.
It was It was late on the left coast. I was watching it already in bed, had put the kids down and all that stuff. So it's got to be pretty bad for you guys. But what kicked it off was the spitting contest between Dak and Jalen Carter. Now, There's a lot of opinions on the who spit first scenario and how all that happened. Dak appears to disrespect maybe from Jalen's perspective by spitting in front of him. Didn't spit on him, but spit in front of him. And then Jalen Carter, who is known to be not such a nice individual, that's a nice way to characterize it.
This isn't the first time there's been these types of scenarios. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, he's made some choices. He decides to retaliate by full on just spitting at Dak right in front of the ref. Plain as day. It wasn't even like he didn't know the ref was there. So I don't know what you're thinking, but that's automatic bye-bye. Yeah. And so he gets ejected from the game while one of his teammates by the way, is on the ground with a horrible knee injury. I was their fullback, correct? Fullback / tight end, I think. Yeah, dude comes out and literally jacks his knee on the opening kickoff. Done for the season. That was sad. But while your teammate's on the ground,
he also injured it last year too, I think, and then had to. That was the end of his season, and now first play the following season. That's brutal.
Yeah, and you hate to hear it. You always want to hear the comeback story, but also sometimes you're like, man, maybe that needs to be it.
Two in 2 years is, that's different.
But Jalen gets a $50,000+ fine. The game ends up, apparently the NFL just decided he didn't really play, so we're going to just say you were suspended for that game. Yeah. But as Mike, who's on the show all the time, helps us write our show, does stuff for us, but he pointed out after looking through his contract stuff, that voids all guarantees for Jalen Carter's contract, him getting suspended does. All of them. Like the whole slew of guarantees to his deal is gone for this year. He lost them all. And that was put in there by the Eagles because of previous choices he made in college. And his lack of character that he showed at times.
There's a reason he fell to them like he did. He was in that draft that he was drafted 2 years ago. He was, before all of the driving situation, he was, and still probably was the best talent in that draft. And if not for that, would have been picked number 1 overall. That's how talented he was, and fell to what, 11th, 12th, something like that.
Yeah, no, it should have been top 3.
Yeah.
Should have been top 3. Clearly has the talent. You are listening. If you're listening to that game Thursday night, you hear the announcer say it. If you are paying attention to the preview for the game, or you just happen to understand what the Eagles do, Jalen Carter is probably their best player. Yeah. Like on either side of the ball. And I'm throwing in Saquon and obviously a Super Bowl winning quarterback into that discussion. And he's probably their best player. And bro did not handle himself at all the way he should have. And it's a bummer to watch like somebody like that not understand how much they truly contribute to the team. He walked off smiling, and then we hear later, oh, I apologize. Let's play the stupid PR game, make it sound better than it is. But that's a little terrifying if you're the Eagles. I personally don't love that at all, and I would not be shocked nor surprised if there is a trade in his future. Certainly, if you continue down that path, there's not a second contract for you with that team. Like, every team has shown they're willing to move on from somebody despite the talent if they can't stay on the field because of their behavioral issues. Everybody's let go of great talent. We watched another guy, last name Brown, embarrass himself a few times on a football field, walk off of a football field before, and get shipped around. Back. And that dude has Hall of Fame numbers at the wide receiver position. Yeah. So I know I'm projecting down the line here. This is an instance, but it was pretty severe. First game of the year. Everyone's watching, and that's what you chose to do in the first 5 minutes you're on the field. Bad call.
Yeah, but you know what? If there's a trade coming down the line, I know the Cleveland Browns will pick up the phone and they will make that trade. If there's one team that will, if there's one team that will maybe look past some stuff.
We need a new team captain.
Jalen Carter. Come on down.
Yeah. Yep. No, it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds from that situation. But again, Eagles do get the win, a gritty win, if you will. Again, that drop by CD, and a couple of them in particular, pretty decisive. Dude did catch 10 balls in this game. I believe he saw 15 or 16 targets, which I did not expect with George Pickens on the team. I thought we'd see him get a little more, and that kind of even out a little bit. This is the best quality 1-2 that CeeDee's ever played with, and I was expecting a little bit more of that. But consistent gameplay by the Eagles, always good coaching from that team, and they get it done in the opener. I want to move on to some other ones. We did not put this next game on our pick'em, and there's a reason for it. We didn't think anybody out there was going to pick the team that ended up winning. None of us would have.
I wouldn't have, but I did say that the Chiefs are gettable in September. I did say that.
You did?
I did. I do want to point that out there. But I still would not have picked them if we did that for a big game.
And I don't like picking, even if it's just a pick 'em. Like, something to be said about picking those season, like not just week 1 games, but like week 1 in Brazil. I don't really
on an off night too, like a different night of the week.
I'm not really interested, and I just kind of want to observe the madness that is the overseas games. So it's hard to take seriously from that. But still, mostly the point is like the Chargers just simply don't beat the Chiefs, like the Patrick Mahomes led Chiefs, and it doesn't really matter if it's a home game or an away game. So that was something that I did not expect.
But a 1-score win for the Chargers. They get it 27-21 on Friday night. By the way, absolutely hate Friday night football. Don't do it. Get rid of it right now. It doesn't need to exist. We've said this about Thursday night football a million times. We love more football, and that's fun and everything. Friday night is for the kids, 100%. It's for your local high school teams. It's for parents to go cheer on their kids and all that. And if you've got a neighbor, a cousin, a nephew, whatever is playing on Friday nights, be about that. This is stupid. It does not need to exist. Glad they're doing it once and then leaving it alone for the rest of the year. This is clearly a tester to see what their numbers are. I apologize that I contributed to those numbers. I do not have a kid yet playing on Friday night, and my local team was playing away this week, so I did not go travel for that one. But yeah, hate that part. But Justin Herbert, you guys.
Like we talked about on our text thread, like this is not something to like. It's week 1. It means it really means nothing. We don't know who any of these teams are. We really don't.
Week 1 lies.
Yeah, the Ravens just lost, and they might be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Right?
They might win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean really anything. And so on that end, I don't think it doesn't speak at all to the Chiefs. I do think it does speak to the Chargers because this is the first time in 4 years that they've beaten the Chiefs.
Yep.
And to come out and for Justin Herbert to win a big game, like it did feel kind of like at least to keep it close, to be a nitty-gritty win. But like for him to show up like he did, throw that many touchdowns, keep the game like offense on the field, him running for that first down in primetime, which has not been something that has been his strong suit across the country, like in a different country, primetime, like all those things against team they haven't beat in 4 years. Like it is a statement win, and the vibes are high. And if you're like you are jacked up, and that's the type of win that you like get amped about to carry momentum. Like you can't start any better. I think if there's one team that like is gained the most, even if it's just their own self-confidence or mojo, I think it's Chiefs. I think it was a statement win for them, but I don't think it speaks anything to the Chiefs.
You didn't mean you meant the Chargers.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Southern Hemisphere Quentin Johnson. Is he Is he top 5?
Dude, what?
I'm using it. I'm dropping it. If you didn't see the meme, this is fantastic. Okay, if you didn't see this one, I'm just going to read it to you. It's just a picture of Quentin Johnson. It doesn't matter. Makes me happy to think, credit Mason Dodd, makes me happy to think that there are a bunch of kids in Brazil that will grow up thinking Quentin Johnson is the best football player that's ever lived.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was dying, dude. Bro had 2 touchdown catches. Led his team
yards?
barely in yards, 79 yards in receiving, 5 receptions total. He looked like the guy that he was supposed to be when he got drafted.
And also Keenan Allen, like how many third down catches did he have? Like
I think of his 7 catches, I believe that 4 or 5 of them
4
were third down.
Yeah. So and he had ended with 70-something yards. Like Ladd McConkey was the third man out like in this game. And so if he's like we talked about, like
and I love the distribution here. So Quentin gets 7 targets, makes 5 catches. Ladd gets 9 targets, makes 6 catches. Keenan Allen gets 10 targets, makes 7 catches. They are all within 10 yards of receiving of each other. Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen, though, getting the touchdowns. Ladd just barely missed getting his own. The other one that Quentin ended up getting, his second one, I think Ladd was on that series, just about to snag one. So it was great distribution to your top 3 receivers. Nobody else got more than 2 catches in that game.
Yeah, but I think, again, when we talk about the Chargers, we talked about the wide receiver room being a weak spot. If they do it like this, just everyone's even, that's you can win that way. Absolutely, you can.
And let's put a little bit of the blame where it belongs. Chiefs defense did not come through for them. There is a way that you can deal with the Chiefs. And if on first and second down, you are consistently maintaining the line of scrimmage on first and second down, if you can double team Jones, if you can get the play to the opposite end of Karlaftis, that's a huge deal. I still hate that Mike was completely right about Karlaftis, but because he called it coming out of college. He's like, this dude is it. And he has been right. But if you can double team Jones and then work it to the opposite side of Karlaftis, whatever you're running, whether that's a bootleg, out and toss, if you're running your RPOs, you're playing even a blast if you're doing it off the side of the oppo of Karlaftis and utilizing that double team to build a wall. Like, if you can maintain that line of scrimmage first and second down, you can consistently gain yards. That secondary got a little exposed throughout the course of this game. 320 yards for Herbert was pretty solid. And really, outside of the line of scrimmage, that Chiefs defense doesn't look elite right now. Right now, that's week one. I'm not trying to overreact, but right now. But they did prove, man, if you can maintain the line of scrimmage, I'm not saying dominate it, but maintain it, you got a good shot, man. And they didn't run the ball particularly well. 90 yards is all they got.
Neither team did. I think a couple of my key takeaways here before maybe we put this one to bed and move on to another, what we thought was going to be banger game this week. Isaiah Pacheco was expecting a little bit more out of that. Yeah. Didn't really love. He only got 5 carries. Sure. When you have 5 carries for 25 yards and one of those runs was for 10 yards, like you're not feeling great about that. Another game where Patrick Mahomes has to pull the rabbit out of his hat and has that crazy flip where he's falling on third down, some key scrambles, leads the team in rushing, evading. He was only sacked twice on the night, but could have been much more. They were coming after him. And so that run game really needs to be established, I think, for them, especially in the coming weeks, because I don't think we've mentioned it yet. Very beginning of that game, you lose Xavier Worthy. And then what's the result of that? 16 targets to Hollywood Brown, which nobody wants to see that. If that is 16 targets from Patrick Mahomes going to a Hollywood Brown who was not good enough to stay on the Ravens for Lamar Jackson, not a great sign.
Yeah, and legitimately, that's your top 2 wide receivers out. Rashid Rice obviously serving the 6-game suspension. And Worthy, did he get IR'd today? I was looking for an update on that.
I hadn't seen anything since we started recording. We're end of day Tuesday here, Pacific time. So maybe we'll expect to see that later in the week. They're saying maybe he can return and play with a brace, but with a shoulder separation, especially for a guy his size, he's like 160 soaking wet. It's just going to happen. Like they're going to be flying after him all year trying to get there. Yeah, haven't heard anything yet. But
I just got dislocated shoulder 2 days ago. 4 hours ago, it says it's just a headline that they Chiefs get a break on the injury. So it sounds like
it seems like they're hopeful, but that could still be IR for 4 weeks, and we'll
see. Weeks, probably.
It's anywhere in between there. And the last thing I do want to say to your point about the defense here, Matt, I don't expect this to be a thing year round, but you watch that last play to really seal it for the Chargers, where you have the Herbert scramble. That's Chris Jones, your legendary defensive tackle, lining out wide and then going inside and not keeping contain on that play. And then it just allows Herbert to scramble, get the first down in the game. So you don't really anticipate that to be a recurring thing, especially a player of his caliber, a defense that is coached by a guy like Spags. But definitely some of those week one, these guys aren't playing in the preseason. You're in Brazil, mental errors. And I fully expect the Chiefs to turn this one back around. If anything, this is still technically an away game for them. So maybe you just say, hey, the Chargers, they got lucky, or however they want to phrase it. I don't think they got lucky, but you could say they got lucky that they were able to get their home game win and that it didn't get lost in the shuffle this year. But now let's go back to the drawing board and do what we do best. Hard to stay down on them, but if you're looking at it, you're still saying, hey, this is a Chiefs team that didn't have the help last year that they needed, and it still seems to be the case. We'll see in a few weeks when we have more guys back.
Yeah, but I'll just echo your point on the run game. Got to establish that. When you look at the numbers, Pacheco did get only 5 carries in this game. And that's a play calling issue. I understand some of that's like field position and like you are trying to manage some RPO stuff when you're between the 30 and 50 of your own side of the field. And so Mahomes has that ability basically to call it, if you will. And then when your receivers aren't elite right now and you're focused in on one target, that is limiting. I get all that. But yeah, they got to establish that run game. I'm sure they'll button it up. I'm sure this Chiefs team is going to go on a run. But, man, they definitely look like they could use a few more weapons. And I'm sure that they don't want to see the Chargers for a while, because the Chargers are definitely coming out of this riding high. Moving on into Sunday, game that we thought was going to be electric was anything but, because I will say, guys, like in our previews, there wasn't a lot at all that we missed, and we were super right about this one team.
Yep.
The Packers are incredible. And they made the Lions look like they replaced a defensive and offensive coordinator in the offseason. They
right on that.
They flat out held the keys to this game from the get, and they were quite literally having their way on both sides of the field for the majority of this contest. They locked down the Lions, and who looked pretty basic all the way around. Offense looked basic.
And a team that we have loved their creativity and their chutzpah to get it done when they want to. And yeah, you can definitely tell that there's all the memes out there about Dan Campbell now without his great coordinators. And again, it's week 1, but that you are not thrilled if you're a Lions fan of what you saw, because it definitely seemed like Eagles after going to that Super Bowl, losing their coordinators to head coaching positions and really being average and mid.
46 yards on the ground for them.
I was just going to say that.
And 225 yards on 31 completions from Jared Goff. You got to recognize that there is a field that exists beyond the first down marker. That's bad. You're not taking shots, period.
They played timid.
One of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. You got to take some shots.
Yeah, they played scared like the whole game.
Yeah,
on offense.
Just did not love the play calling. You've got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery both sitting below. Montgomery finished with 2.3 per attempt. Jahmyr Gibbs, 2.1. Their highest of any of their rushers was Jamison Williams taking off on a reverse for 3 yards. That was the highest average per rush.
Do you want to
really Gibbs 14? It was 19 on 1.
In case you want to see it in the doc, I just pasted Jared Goff's passing chart from this last week. And basically, if you watch the game and then you look at the chart, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that I can see how you go 31 for 39 and only have 225 yards.
He had a total of 6 attempts beyond 10 yards.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 3.
Tell me how that's happening in a Ben Johnson offense last year. You go look at some of these other charts from previous games in a lot of the years. There are way more long shots here. Even if you've got a lot of the short stuff, that's not too uncommon. You get the short ball, then you throw some bombs. That was not at all the Lions offense we saw last year.
And when you're consistently down 2 scores, as they were a lot of this game, and that ended up being a 14-point game, why are you not? When you are behind, you need to push the ball downfield.
Dude, throw up a 50-50 ball.
Yeah,
you throw up
telling me there was a one-on-one for Amon-Ra?
To me, like that was one, and we'll get to Matt, yours and my game. I felt that the Hawks were just way too conservative. And I was like, come on, you're down, or you need a spark. You need to do something. Yep. Like, you got to throw it up there. And if it gets picked, like, you live and die by it. I would much rather you be a team. And as a fan, like, I'd much rather that you try and don't play scared. Don't play timid. If it's a pick, if you go, it's a 3rd and 5 and you throw a long ball, it's a punt. All right, it's a long punt.
They won a game last year where Jared Goff threw 5 picks against the Texans or whatever.
Yeah.
And guess what? They didn't stop throwing the ball at all. That's the only way you can throw 5 interceptions in a game is you keep throwing the football.
And it's not like they're missing talent. Like, all the same offense is there. Like, players are there.
All your pieces are there.
And Laporte is healthy. Like, which he wasn't much of last year. Like, so you could argue
that the offensive line isn't what it was, but it's still enough.
Retiring.
You still got things there to make stuff happen. Like, it's not like all of a sudden this is the Bears' offensive line last night, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
I understand that maybe someone isn't as offensively creative as Ben Johnson, but put the ball in the hands of your star players. Like, you're paying them money. Trust them.
And did you guys see
Jamison Williams got paid, by the way. That's a lot.
Buddy. That was 3 and 83.
Yeah,
on his extension.
Around
what is
27
career? Is it 84 catches?
But he's got two 1,000-yard seasons. Let me pull it up. I think just barely.
But no, I mean, his like career catches, it's in the 80s, isn't it?
It is 80.
He has the big.
So including the 4 he got on Sunday, he is at 82.
Bro's making
Sorry, 87.
$1
Sorry,
million
87.
a catch.
87. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong
Okay,
one.
so before that, but he signed it, so he's making $1 million a catch, 83 for 83.
Yep.
Literally, that dude, the playmaking ability is clearly there. No team, not even the Lions, is going to invest money like that into somebody who doesn't have that high-end potential. He's missed some time with injuries. Obviously, the one suspension comes to mind too. But yeah, that playmaking ability is obviously there. They need to take advantage of what they have, period. And I know that Ben Johnson is a creative monster, a genius, if you will, when it comes to the way he designs offensive plays and scheming. But man, you still got all those pieces, dude, and you got a great squad. Gibbs is great.
Put it in their
Montgomery
hands.
is an amazing compliment back, like probably one of the top 3 best compliment backs that there is. Fantastic inside the 20, gets you all those gritty close in runs.
Yeah.
Gibbs just makes you miss, but Amon-Ra is a beast. I just don't understand.
This offense is a super. You put this offense against any offense in the league in terms of skill players, like it's a Super Bowl caliber skill group.
Yeah. And for those of you that are like, hey, they needed to establish run game, they need to do something. You taking shots helps you establish a run game. It's a complementary piece all the time. Yeah. So we're saying if you can take the top off the defense, if you can run, which they can all day long, you just run Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams on 20-yard routes, and those safeties are going to back up real quick. And if you're doing that consistently, well, then those running lanes open up because the defenders are back and you're not crowding the box. And that creates opportunity. There's a balance there that they got to find. This is just week 1. I get all that. We're saying all that. If we want to really attack different things, you could go to the other team and look at Jordan Love, 16 to 22, 188 yards. Pretty pedestrian, but ends up with 2 touchdowns. Part of that is, I will say, the Packers played some of the best field position game that you can play.
Yeah.
Just looking at where they were at and going, okay, if we punt here, we get the stop, it gets back to this. They were brilliant about how they worked the field position game throughout this contest because they only had 78 yards on the ground. Josh Jacobs ran 19 times for 66 yards, but they were impactful runs. They used them a lot in short, so he was going and getting those first downs that were much needed and stretching out drives. This got spread around incredibly. No receiver on Green Bay had more than 3 catches in this game. And you just look around, Daubs had 2, Reed had 3, Wicks had 2, Kraft had 2, Golden had 2. They just spread it around and did a really good job getting first downs, moving the ball when they needed to, and they collect 27 points. If you were going into this game and you just said, hey, you can score 27 against Detroit, guaranteed, you'd take it and say, okay, we're just going to try and play defense then. All right, yeah. And that's exactly what they did. Held them to 13 points. That's a tough thing to do against that kind of talent. Great job by the Packers. LaFleur, regular season monster, right? This is just what he does.
And my last piece of that here, too, like we talk about some of what we're missing in the Lions offense. I do want to also, as we're wrapping this part up, still continue to give some credit to that Packers defense. Obviously, Micah Parsons not playing on a pitch count here, but still having some impact. I don't know if you guys saw that clip of his sack, but he like literally comes out of that the massive bodies like a lion coming out of the grass, and you just see him like full sprint at Jared Goff. I'm like, yeah, it's still crazy that he's here on this team because they look insane. And for what it's worth, some of this is, again, play calling, but Jahmyr Gibbs, 19 touches overall for 50 yards. That typically doesn't happen, and he's a guy who can beat the scheme just by speed and ability. And so to me, that tells a lot about how that defense was playing, that this guy can touch the ball 19 times and only get 50 yards out of it because he'll just make one move and go, and then that's that, and you can get 50 yards right there. Really impressed by that Green Bay defense. And so I think rightfully that claiming that top spot in the AFC North.
Yeah, if you want to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, shadow him. And that's what you've heard from certain guys around the league is like you have to shadow him all the time at the line of scrimmage. And Green Bay has the flexibility at linebacker to do that. And that's that's going to continue to be a tough matchup for the Lions, especially with the addition to Parsons to that front, because before you didn't have to account for the premier edge that he is for that. And if he wants to just go into a different mode and just say, hey, I'm just covering here, Yeah, he's going to be one of the best coverage guys. He's going to be one of the best run stoppers. He's going to be one of the best edge rushers. He's going to be the best guy on the field most of the time he's on that field. I also loved, by the way, that his teammates lost their minds when he caught up to Goff on that play. Guys get energized by sacks. They were full on ready to carry him into the tunnel after he got that sack.
Yep.
That's a big win for the Packers getting him. We already had said that. Also, big win for them this week, getting over the former division champ from last year, and they look real good. I don't want to play them, but I want to get to my favorite game of the week. Grant, I'm so sorry that you did not get to watch this in its entirety, because I did.
I didn't get to watch any of it.
Ravens and the Bills. Holy
Cinema.
cow. All right, I have a funny story about this. I'm in the office on Monday, and I'm sitting here talking about the game. I work with father-son here in the office, and that's where I'm recording from right now. And they love talking football. They are both big Raider fans. They had both been watching the game the night before. I'd gotten a text from one of them during, and as we're talking about the game, and man, yeah, this was amazing, and that was amazing. King Henry the whole time. Holy cow, did you see this play? And we're just going back, and then we get to, that was just so nuts. Prater comes in off the plane, goes in and knocks in the game winner, gets the dub in the end, and my boss, Dad, looks over and goes, "What? The Bills won?" And we're like,
He turned it off.
What are you talking about?
No.
And he fell asleep at the 5-minute marker in the fourth quarter and had no idea. He just dozed off and run the TV.
That's tough.
Woke up and post game was over and he went to bed. And so he's just, what? And don't get me wrong. Wait, what? How did this happen? So we had to walk him through, because the last 4 minutes of this game, Josh Allen comes out of nowhere and
puts
just
the Superman
takes over.
cape on.
Woo! Costume change from those first 3 quarters. His offense, it's not like they hadn't scored points. They're 25 points. It's 40-25. Inside the 5-minute marker, they're coming down the field. And with 4 minutes left, this dude throws a touchdown pass to get them within 1. The Ravens were not done. They come back and start pushing the ball down the field. No problem. We're going to run out the clock. We have King Henry. No, this is not an issue. This dude does one thing real good. Ball here. He runs fast. You cry when he runs into you, and he does whatever he wants. Not today.
Yes and no. He did do whatever he wants until
yes, most of the day, except for one specific instance.
Yeah.
And in that instance, ball gets knocked loose. Bills jump on it, score again. Dude, it was incredible. And then still had to go back down and get a field goal because they weren't able to get the 2-point conversion, and manage that as well. Beautiful clock management. We have gone after McDermott multiple times saying, dude, in crunch, you suck. He has done a terrible job with game management. But right here, Sunday Night Football, game 1 of the season, playing one of the toughest opponents, if not just the toughest opponent they're going to see all year. He consistently made the right call with clock management. The play selection was amazing, and you got to give credit to that defense, creating a turnover and getting a stop when they needed to. Just phenomenal football.
And the implications for this are huge. Yes, it's week 1, but this could be who gets the number 1 seed. No, Bills could get the number 1
That's
seed.
That's your tiebreaker.
They own the tiebreaker. We've consistently said in our previews that it feels like it's one of these two teams are going to come out of, obviously, or at least to be the number 1 seed, because the Chiefs obviously are great, but they haven't gotten the 1 seed in a couple of years, but that doesn't matter for them. But
I got the 1 seed last year.
Yes, last year they did. That's true. But overall, the implications are huge for week 1, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure we've all got crazy stats, but here's the thing that I want to say. Since 2021, the Ravens have now blown a total of 8 games in which they had a win probability of over 90%. At one point, they had a 99.1% chance of winning this game, and they blew it.
5-minute marker in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I'll actually piggyback off that because my stat is very similar to that. Harbaugh has 17 blown double-digit second-half leads, which is the most since 1991. So
he did not even start coaching until
08. Yes, exactly. And I go back and forth on this. I know I've said it on the show before. I still think that at some point that we need to have a change of scenery here. I know it's hard to do when you have such a legendary floor raising quality head coach.
Super Bowl winning head coach.
Yes, but that Super Bowl is getting further and further away, and you have a probably more talented team than you even did then, and we're still finding ourselves in places where we can't get past certain teams in the playoffs. We are losing games that we're leading by double digits in the second half at a rate, that nobody else is doing. And it's just they play a little too conservatively when they get there. And I think you look at the box score for that night and you can say, how did we only have 19 passes from Lamar when he was just absolutely tearing them up? Oh, wait, it's because we got a lead. We rest on our laurels. We try to get fancy.
You have the king.
We do a jet sweep to Zay Flowers on a critical second down instead of just saying, hey, let's put the ball in Lamar's hands and just let him cook. Even if you're just kind of, hey, we're going to do a read option with you and Derrick Henry, our two best players. That would be a great way to extend this drive and keep the clock running. And here you are trying to get fancy and then just turn around, hand the ball off, which is fine. That's how you got here, but it keeps happening. And at some point, you start to question, is this ever going to happen with Lamar and Harbaugh? And if you're going to say we're getting rid of one of those to try something else, we know it's not going to be Lamar. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
There are so many stats on this game that were incredible. When you have that many points scored in a football game, there's gonna be quite a few. For those of you that are like, wow, that seems like it never happens to King Henry. One fumble in every 113 carries for his career. That's how solid he is. That's pretty crazy. I had this on Josh Allen. He threw for 251 yards in the fourth quarter alone. That's more than I could go through this list. I believe it's about 17 or 18 quarterbacks that played.
I did see
Sunday.
that. Yep. Yeah. That stat is crazy.
It pretty wild stat that he did that in just the fourth quarter. I also, though, because we already talked about him, I wanted to get to this, and I know this will be more of a maybe a special feature at some point when we do some comparisons on guys in different portions of their career. I was looking at a comparison of Herbert and Allen going over their first 79 career starts. Both did not start in a great position of strength. You could definitely make the case that Josh Allen had a worse roster when he came in if you wanted to, though I would say that Herbert's never really had much of a receiving core as well. But over their first 79 career starts, okay, so walking through this week, Josh Allen's got 19,000 passing yards with a 63% completion rate. Herbert's at 21,000 passing yards and a 66.5 completion rate. Josh Allen's touchdown interception is 143 to 64 with a 92.4 passer rating. Herbert is 137 to 45 with a 96.7. Now, obviously, I'm not including some pretty vital rushing stats that would swing heavily to Josh Allen's favor. But those are two elite throwers of the football with a pretty awesome comparison. I think for whatever gap there is between those passing stats between Allen and Herbert, I think Allen definitely makes it up in the rushing. But, man, two quality quarterbacks in the AFC on opposite ends of the country that I would love to see playing each other in the AFC Championship game. That would be absolute cinema. I don't think I could draw it up better. Don't get me wrong. If the game we watched this week on Sunday night was the AFC Championship, and again, it could be totally.
That's what I'm hoping for personally.
Literally. But I would not mind at all after seeing the Chargers beat last year's representative from the AFC in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs on Friday night. They clearly can beat some good teams. I would love to see that happen and see two heavyweights like that duking it out and the outcome thereof. That was just like a fun little love that. There was a whole bunch of other games to hit, and I'm going to run through some.
I want to say one
got
thing.
One more? Yeah.
We talked about this last season about I know we're talking about the losing team here. I know we trashed on Derrick Henry a little bit, that costly fumble. I do want to say, we talked about last week about watching greatness. He may be the last great running back we ever see, guys. Legitimately. I don't know if anybody else is going to reach the touches, that's going to reach the longevity with injury, the rushing yards, the how many Pro Bowls, the All Pros, the rushing titles, the touchdown titles, the Heisman Trophy. Like we may never see, and I don't know if we're ever going to see it. The way this game is going, we may never see another running back do this. He just ran for 2,000 yards last year, guys. Like, he may be the last great running back. I love Saquon. Saquon's incredible. But Saquon doesn't, like, the injury history that Saquon has, some of the abysmal, like, O-line play in the Giants, some of this stuff.
Yeah,
like
he got hosed there. Yep.
He got hosed there. But Derrick Henry, man, like, he is as consistent as they come. I don't know if we'll ever see it. Just the way this game goes now.
The yards after contact numbers, especially for, like, you know, where offense is going, like, it's not built like that anymore. And this guy can give you, like, he probably last night, I don't know the actual number because he broke some big ones, but if I told you, like, oh, he ran for 169 yards and he had 75 yards after contact, he'd probably be like, yeah, that might actually be a little low.
Yeah, but how many?
To your point about Saquon, though, Eagles just traded for Tank Bigsby. And to bring up, and I say that because so many teams have the platoon, right? Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is a great back, but Montgomery's right there.
Yeah.
You know, your own team, you have Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. Yeah. The Niners have CMC and Robinson. Like, you look around the league, everybody's got it. James Conner's got Benson. When he gets back, Mixon's got Chubb. Achan's got, 2-3 guys behind him. Bijan's going to trade off with Algier in certain situations, especially when they're at the goal line. Like, there's all these different guys that got a guy right next to him come off the field. Even watching, and I don't want to highlight it, but watching CMC, like, he called for him a lot. Robinson came in a lot. You saw him throw up his hand and take a play. King Henry does not do that. You have to drag that guy off the field.
He breaks all the rules, all the running back rules. Like, wear and tear doesn't exist on this guy. It just doesn't.
He also finally just surpassed his high school rushing yard total.
If he saw it. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is like another, just, of course, it would be like a.
He's been in the league like 9 years, 10 years.
Jamison. Yeah. Let's just go back to our high school days. Think about it for 2 seconds. Year,
by the way.
You're playing on the outside. That guy comes around the right tackle, and you're looking at him holding the ball, and he's got a full steam, dude. Are you even laying yourself out to this dude?
I don't even know. Like,
I would like to think I could.
I don't even know if I would be able to be, like, fast enough to close the angle properly to make that tackle. Would probably be my first thing. Oh yeah, I'm in the open field and I have to have a pursuit angle on Derrick Henry. That's not happening. And if I get there, I'm probably not tackling him.
But let's just say you're clear path and you're 4 yards out. It's you or him. Like, obviously he's gonna win. But are you, as a high schooler, do you think you would have sacrificed your body to that guy?
I'm like, dude, I got math homework I got to do still.
But, like, to talk about his greatness, though, there's a chance he's in the top 10 by the end of the season for rushing yards. By the end of the season, he could get to top 10. And so
he just passed Jim Brown for touchdowns this week, I believe.
Yeah, but in terms of yards, that would pass him on Marshall Faulk, Jim Brown, Tony Dorsett, potentially Eric Dickerson. Like, all-time greats that he could leap this year, and this is his 9th season. His 9th.
That's crazy.
So, this is greatness. He's probably the last great running back we ever see, guys. So enjoy it.
Absolutely. And the last guy, or one of the guys you named there, Marshall Faulk, is the most recent player. What year did he retire, Jameson? I should know that one. That's more. I know that's my generation, but he's your guy.
Yeah. Sometimes you just memory hole some of those, like, late 2000s Rams years. But I would probably say he's like
05.
Mid.
This is last year.
I was going to say mid 2000s, 05, 06. And James is pretty close to, I would say, on that list as far as recency. Sure. Yeah. Derrick Henry right now is at basically 11,600 yards, rounding up a little bit. And if he gets 1,000 yards, he's going to be 12,600-ish, which would put him right behind Tony Dorsett, taking like 100 more yards. And then Eric Dickerson, Jerome Bettis, LT, like, all those guys are up there. Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore are two of the guys who are probably technically the most recent of players because of their longevity. I don't really know if you're going to be catching those guys, but hey, if there's one person left in maybe like NFL history that's going to have a chance of hitting those kinds of like 14,000 plus numbers, it's okay. A couple more really monstrous seasons from him, and then some 1,000-yard season. You're in the conversation.
If you're going to average a $150 against good defenses, bro, he's going to get there. That's crazy what he did. But no, I appreciate the perspective there, Grant, and because I don't think that we could ever really do it justice with words. We said this last week about Mahomes when it comes to greatness, but we get to witness this, and I talked about it on one of our podcasts last year, but like when he's playing, pay attention, man. There's games that you just put on in the background sometimes, and you're just kind of, yeah, this isn't my team or whatever. But that is a guy, every time he touches the field, you want to remember that you saw that guy. You want to remember those runs. You want to remember getting to see what he did in real time and how it impacted games. And that's just special. There's very few guys in this league that are worth tuning in to watch.
Yeah.
And he is genuinely one of maybe 10 guys that you're just like, I need to watch this game because that dude's playing.
Yep.
And so I love it. I love getting to watch him. I want to talk about some not so good stuff for a little bit. A few surprises happened this weekend. One of them, we were real clear that there was a coach who's going to lose his job first. I came in real hot on that.
And he did not disappoint in that one.
Thank you for proving me right. Mike McDaniel is doing everything he can to get himself fired down in Miami.
He wants to go to
Colts.
Cancun now.
Oh, dude, seriously, I understand he's got the Caribbean in his backyard, but
when you have a quote that says "can't get much worse than this," that's not really how you want to.
That's a Rod Mayo quote from last year. That's what that is right there.
I will say I watched the entirety of his interview post game and. He cleaned it up after that, but if you were just to encapsulate it, yeah, that does sound real bad.
And we live in an age where everyone just clips you out like that. And I just saw a picture of him plastered with that quote on ESPN, CBS Sports, Fox Sports, all of those things. Come on, bro. Be smarter than that.
Yeah, you can't give that soundbite. You just can't after that loss. But 33-8, Danny Dimes comes out charging. Holy cow. The Dolphins secondary we knew was garbage. Okay, so Danny Dimes gets the benefit of a really bad secondary, a mediocre defensive line, just not a great defense, we're being honest. But I could not believe how good the Colts defense was. Tua, holy crap. Have you played football before?
Dude, Xavier Howard.
Someone just lined up a
2x4
against your head this offseason? What the heck happened?
Did you see the quote from Xavier Howard, their Colts corner, saying, we knew if we took away his first read, he would panic. And I'm like, hello? Case in point, how is that not a red flag? Like, how is that not a red flag?
Also, how are you paying him $50 million?
One read and then you panic? Are you kidding me, dude?
That was so bad.
Ugh. Everything that I said. I had the AFC East in my preview. Everything I said still stands. I'm the smartest person alive right now.
And it was somehow still worse than we anticipated.
Still
worse. It was surprising.
Atrocious. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that offense couldn't get anything going. By the way, Zach Wilson played in that game. When you're putting the backup in week 1 because you got run up so bad.
It's a mercy. Dude. It's a mercy killing.
That was just awful. Another not good game. Score differential wasn't as bad, but the Commanders took down the Giants 21-6. Russell Wilson, bye-bye. Hang him up, dude.
Yep.
You done.
You're cooked, bud.
The noise is getting loud in New York immediately for Jackson Dart to be playing quarterback. I said it when we were going through this division. I was like, listen, that dude sucks. They're going to try and get Dart in there as quick as possible. If they don't win enough games, because Dable's getting fired, and he's going to have to put him in to save his job. Because if
Can I tell you my favorite potential theory here, or at least what I think would be
Let's
best?
Go.
We got to put in the W eater himself. Because we can't be putting Jackson Dart in just yet, and we certainly can't be playing Russell Wilson. You have Jameis. Let's let Jameis sling the rock. Malik Neighbors is at least going to get some targets, and he's not going to.
Them crab legs, baby. Let's go.
Dude.
I don't know if you guys saw that clip of him and Dayball kind of having a little altercation on the sideline, but it's like the last thing you want. Wide receivers are already divas. It's just kind of like how it is in the NFL. And the last thing you want is for that guy, who's also the best player on that side of the ball for you, getting upset in week 1 because you're playing with a quarterback who just doesn't have it anymore. So,
and
I
again,
think, honestly, play Jameis and we talked about it in the preview. Let's maybe get Jackson Dart in there after Philly so he doesn't get creamed and just have that whole trajectory ruined, but maybe at least buy yourself a little bit of time because, that Russell Wilson, it's 17 for 37.
And again, like I said with one of the other games, like live by the sword, die by the sword. That's who Jameis is. Like at least you're moving the ball, dude.
No
Like,
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He will
you're
take shots.
Yeah, he'll take shots. He will sling it, and he's gonna make some of the most insane throws you'll ever see, but then make the dumbest decision you'll ever make. But that's what you get with Jameis.
Insane goes both ways.
It goes both
It
ways,
does.
and like you might
good
win
when
games
it's good.
and he's won games doing that.
Yep.
So like, your chances are better. As much as I got that guy's, it's mirrored. I got that guy's jersey behind me, and like he's who I grew up watching and love Russ, dude. Just I don't know what have we ever seen this kind of fall off?
Oh, sure. Like
This
dude,
level though, dude. This guy was going to the Hall of Fame and went to the Broncos, and then just to fall off to this level. We're not sure if he's going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I can't think of
Fame.
like he. I mean, he
Cousins had a real bad year last year and got himself replaced while he was making $50 million.
Yeah, but I would say that Russ going that trade Denver, he was on those way to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if Kirk was ever on his way to the Hall of Fame like Russ was.
I
Like,
still
that's
think
what-
there were like whiffs of washed when he was leaving Seattle anyways. Like that last year in Seattle certainly
Well, he was
Russ-
injured. Aaron Donald broke his thumb like that last year and was out.
Oh, yeah.
He played like 3-4 games,
Yeah,
broke his
he
thumb.
kind of had a tendency of doing that to people.
Yeah.
He might be the Giants' third best quarterback right now, like today.
Yeah.
And I understand what Dable's doing. Like Aaron, obviously Russ knows the offense. He's gonna know the ins and outs of everything. Bro's been there, done that.
He's smart.
Yep.
He doesn't
I
make
mean,
dumb decisions like Jameis. At least there's that.
He's been to the big game 2 times. He's 1-1 in Super Bowls. Like this guy knows what he's doing and has done it all, quite literally. So I get why you trust him with it.
And
but
I would argue
have
he
the
didn't have
skill
a-
anymore.
Yeah, he didn't have a terrible season with Pittsburgh. He didn't have a great last couple games, but overall, if you look at that season, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't that great.
Terrible.
I was mid, but yeah, I think that you got to go with Winston. Dable's already said though that they're sticking with Russ in the one more week, but this could be the last week.
Yeah, but like if he's having to answer that on week 1,
yeah,
when your completion percentage is under 50 in the NFL, period, it better have snowed like a foot and a half for that.
Right.
That's your only real excuse there.
And you got sacked 85 times.
Yeah, that one was bad. It was. I do got to say a couple little things like, to the Giants' credit, they did a pretty good job. They shut down Scary Terry in this game defensively. There wasn't like a huge run game going there for Washington either.
They did have 220 yards on the ground.
In the massive playmaking sense, like there was a containment that happened there. I understand the overall yardage got there. For those of you that want to barbecue me and lose your mind on 220 yards, go ahead. But if you watch the game, it's small chunks. It's just small chunks. There's one really good play.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah,
Is
like,
more than it was.
It was that kind of thing. But overall, like to hold them to 21 points and shut down Scary, and Debo was their leading receiver. What was it,
7 for
yards?
77. Yeah.
And did that in a lot of close range. Limited Daniels in terms of the throwing. He beat you with his legs.
Dual Carter looks scary, man. He got close a couple times, and
Yeah.
Did you see the one where he jumped up, by the way, in front of Daniels with the one hand?
He was doing like a closeout. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. He looked like he was playing basketball there. That was funny. But I get it. It was smart. He's trying to take away that jump ball throw. I totally get it. Now, that one was a little dirty as well. Not super fun. We did get some traction on conversation this last week about one other game. I'm going to jump over to it real quick. One preview episode that we did, we had a remark from one viewer, and we might clip this part of the discussion too, if we really want to. For them, just for funsies, the Steelers beat the Jets 34-32, and in this game, Aaron Rodgers is getting a lot of hype, throwing 4 touchdowns. A lot of people going, "Oh man, look at this! Look what he's doing. This looks like Aaron Rodgers from circa pick your year." I hear all of that. You did that. You beat a team by 2 points that should finish in the bottom 4 in this league this year. And you were losing most of the time. If you're a Steelers fan, oh, by the way, they just signed Jabril Peppers today because we went after the fact that their secondary sucked last week in the preview episode.
Justin Fields looked really good.
Justin Fields
He
looked
did.
fan-freaking-tastic in this game. Arm, legs, what the crap.
Against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
One of my note of this game was, and like unironically, the New York Jets looked like the Eagles light, where obviously you don't have the talent and the depth everywhere, but when you look at, they have a really good defense. You looked how their offense was going. Justin Fields, 16 for 22, 218, a touchdown, 48 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. The Eagles, and you look at Jalen Hurts' numbers, not too dissimilar from that exact thing. Now, obviously, not the floor raiser that Jalen Hurts is and the playmaker that he is, but you watch that offense and they do the same thing. They dink and dunk, run down your throat, and then take a bomb. And they did connect on that one singular bomb they threw to Garrett Wilson in that game. They looked like a pretty competent offense, which is not what we were expecting, against a Steelers team who we know is old and basically had to pull out all of the stops to beat the Jets, who I agree. This is a team that is not going to be fun to play, but is a bottom 4 team in the league. So hold your horses. I also do always like to point this out. Yeah, sure, Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdown passes. That looks nice. One of them was that little flick forward on the reverse as a pass play.
I was like, I was literally wondering, did he throw that backwards? Like
one of the other
no, he tossed it forward, so it counts as a passing touchdown, even though it's on the end around. So,
and one of those was on the other one was on a busted coverage. Like guy was wide open too.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's 4 touchdowns, but cool.
And you do really want to run the ball better if you're Pittsburgh too. Like you can't be running 53 yards a game and having Aaron Rodgers be the guy to say, okay, let's just drop you back every time now. You got to give him something. He only threw 30 times this game, which feels surprising. You probably still want to see him throw maybe closer to 25 times a game and then actually be able to run the ball. But they did what they had to do, and I won't knock him for it. Even though DK did drop one at the very beginning of the game, and I almost texted in the group chat, I'm like, when does it begin?
But then there was one,
and then he went right to him, and then hit him up, and then he turned it up the sideline. I was like, okay.
Well, and then he had that weird one that deflected off his hands, deflected off the Jets, and then another one of his players and landed in his lap.
Yeah.
Weird stuff there.
For those of you who are like, come on, man, you're not giving the Steelers enough credit. The Steelers allowed 182 yards on the ground to the Jets. I will say that 2 times. The Steelers allowed 182 yards on the ground to the Jets. Okay, I understand that I was not making a big deal of 220 yards just a minute ago when I'm talking about the Redskins, but it's 182 yards to the Jets, who are supposed to be a bottom 4 team in the league, who have been rebuilding this offensive line every single year, who don't have weapons to take the top off of defense. You can say what you want about Garrett Wilson, but that dude lives mostly inside 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. That's where he's going to eat. Okay, they don't have all these weapons. Who do you think their second leading receiver was outside of Garrett Wilson, who had 7 for 95 and a touchdown? It was Breece Hall.
Big
2
Breece
catches
Hall
for
game,
38
by the way.
yards. Yeah, Breece Hall had a great game. He played fantastic. That was as advertised. 145 total yards, no touchdowns, but looked great. Absolutely great. Very comparable to the game that CMC played for the Niners this last week. But genuinely, that should not happen when you have that front 7. When you have the likes of TJ Watt and Hayward and Highsmith, Patrick Queen's holding the middle, that should not happen. No. Steelers fans, congratulations, you beat the Jets. None of us would have picked against you this week, but you should not feel good about that win. That's a win you should not feel good about. Okay, there's a few teams that shouldn't be feeling good about their win. The Broncos should not feel good about their win this week, turning the ball over 4 times.
Bo Nix, rough game.
Yeah, we're not going to spend a lot of time on that one because it's inconsequential to the rest of the year, but that was rough.
It does support my take, though, that I had about them when we covered their division, so I'll just put that out there.
You can keep supporting that. I have different takes on the Broncos over.
Jameson, you and I are aligned there, so.
Yeah, I will say
regression to the mean, baby.
We won't go into the game. We won't. But Titans this weekend, I had they were the number, I believe, 7 or 8 defense in the league this week. That side of the ball, we probably did not give them credit for. That was where we started our previews, and I didn't spend a lot of time there because it was so young. Honestly, it's a makeshift.
And still
defense.
No Snead playing too. I'm pretty sure, and I don't think he played this last week.
Yep. But yeah, like I didn't spend a lot of time there. Probably need to give them a little more credit. They did a heck of a job. But no, this is a game that they were supposed to win. Speaking of the Steelers, and you shouldn't feel good about it. Don't feel good about it. Be nervous. That should leave you feeling very, very nervous. Going down, and by the way, I'm not a Steelers hater. There is no hate. You're talking to a dude that loved Troy Polamalu, like my favorite player to watch for years. Rooted for him, rooted for the Steelers in Super Bowl scenarios, playoffs. Loved him. Yeah. But genuinely, like, I just don't love where this team is. It's not where it should be. When you sign a bunch of veterans and do all this stuff and you do patchwork, you end up like some Eagles teams that I'm reminded of from back in the day, some Raiders teams that used to sign every veteran under the sun and miss the playoffs consistently.
And again, like,
it's not good. It's not the way you manage a team effectively in the NFL.
And I know that you got flack for being a Steelers hater or whatever, but also the thing that I brought up is, Steelers fans, are you just like super elated at another 9-8 season? Like, really? That, again,
where you're headed?
Where is that? That's not success for a team like the Chiefs or these other teams like have Super Bowl aspirations. And we're just like, are you guys not tired of that?
You're not beating the Chargers in a wild card matchup if that's what it comes down to.
It isn't going to make it to that game.
And that's just our only thing. It's just cool. You win 9 games and maybe you get a wild card spot. But first of all, you haven't won a playoff game in forever. And 2, like, you're winning 9-8, 10-7 seasons, but you're not doing anything. And so we're just like, why is this what you keep aspiring towards and keep holding on to this, like, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season thing? Like, cool. I'm sorry.
And if you're a Steelers fan and you're paying attention to your division, if you didn't watch that game this week between the Bengals and the Browns, you should go look at the highlights and be terrified of the fact that while you might beat the Browns, they are going to murder your quarterback.
Joe Burrow took 3
sacks in a row, 2 of them back-to-back from Myles Garrett. Inside their own 20, Joe Burrow had to dive out on 3rd down, dive out of the end zone to escape a safety. You should be terrified that you're going to see Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart come collapsing on each end and just Aaron Rodgers. You should be terrified. That was a horrible pass rush that you saw in New York this last week. You got to know what's coming for you every single week in division. Like, and around the AFC, it's bad, dude.
And we're not
a lot.
Yeah, we're not haters. We're just
fun.
We're just being realistic here. That's all.
It's painful what's going to happen to you eventually. Aaron Rodgers can't move, dude. And when you don't have a run game that he can just take a play off and hand it off to him, you cannot expect to win games in the NFL consistently. I didn't love what they did in their backfield. Didn't love that they didn't go out and draft a running back after you let a guy that all he ever did was gain 1,000 yards for you. I don't love him. I had him on 2 fantasy teams, and he definitely hosed me more than once, but dang it, he got you yards and he was producing, and you didn't replace that. You went and got a quarterback, okay, and that's at the end of his career. You went and got a $30 million receiver who sometimes drops the ball at really inconvenient moments, and you don't have enough weapons around this team overall that are young to last through this season. I really think that injury report's going to get long for the Steelers, and that's what we're trying to point out, man. Like, you just got to be younger than this to be successful in the NFL. The Chiefs were one of the youngest teams in the NFL last year. With some of the old guys that they do have on that team, they were still one of the youngest teams in the NFL. It's because you consistently produce young talent and you grow it at home. And these guys went and signed a bunch of dudes that have been in the league for 5 to 15 plus years. That's not good.
I will say,
it's not winning football.
The Jalen Ramsey played himself a darn good game.
Yeah, he did.
He had a great game.
And had a game-winning breakup on Garrett Wilson. So,
and Sauce played great, too, by the way, opposite for New York. Holy crap. DK to even end up with what he got was pretty impressive.
He got 80 yards. Yeah.
Yep. And, and Sauce was covering him the whole time, and Sauce did play amazing. But, yeah, dude, it's not one game. It's all the other ones you got to worry about. And that division's coming. Good luck. Buckle up. I want to get to one last one before we break down the week to come and do our picks. Monday Night Football was boring. For 3 quarters, it was incredibly boring. Punt, occasional points, field goal, blah, 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 lame.
A pick 6.
Didn't enjoy it. The Vikings and the Bears, I didn't love that matchup when I saw it listed. I genuinely looked at stats like this, that Tom Brady, 16,864 yards, 123 touchdowns in the 2020s. The Bears offense, 15,454 yards and 102 touchdowns. It's in the 2020s, and Tom Brady obviously retired after 2022. And that was as of Monday. So
Yeah.
going into this, I'm like not super excited. Was excited to see if Ben Johnson could turn it around for the Bears. I was curious about what O'Connell could do with J.J. McCarthy coming off a knee injury that he suffered in his rookie year in camp and finally taking the helm. Those were interesting storylines. And the Vikings in this game end up winning it at the end, even though the Bears did have one last shot. The Vikings had 6 less first downs, had considerably less yards of offense. Caleb Williams threw for a higher percentage of completions than McCarthy. The Bears owned time of possession, and it had more opportunities with 63 total plays. The Vikings 40, oh my gosh, I put the wrong number there. I think it was 14 less, so it was 49. Minnesota had 7 3-and-outs in this game. 7. But they have Kevin O'Connell and their not-so-rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who led them to 3 touchdown drives that took a total of 18 plays and 8 minutes and 3 seconds of clock in the fourth quarter to come back from being down 17-6 and get the win to knock off the Bears in week 1. Kevin O'Connell now has 13 3-point wins and 27 one-score wins on his record as a head coach in the NFL, and he is still very young in the game. Heck of a job coaching. Way to stick with it. Way to let McCarthy do his thing. Again, those numbers are not impressive, but when JJ needed to make plays, he makes plays, dude. That was impressive. And I know that the Bears aren't the best team they're going to play this year. They got a long way to go, but that is a heck of a start.
But like that defense, man, they were eating him alive too. Like the grit to stick it out, like the pick six, they couldn't get anything going at all. And the fact that I was doing stuff last night and I saw the score and I saw like the opening drive for the Vikings in the second half and I'm like, yeah, this game's over. And I literally saw it on Instagram or whatever. I'm like, wait, the Vikings won? I was freaking impressed, man.
We were watching it. I was playing softball last night and we had the game on different phones throughout. And so we're coming in. We won pretty convincingly last night, so we weren't out on the field a lot. But while we're in the dugout, watching these clips and just seeing where things are at, and I'm just like, man, he looks so bad. And then we wrap it up with a really long last inning, and we're all talking for a few minutes before we get out there. I go sit down in my car, and I'm like, what the crud? And I jumped up out of the car. I go talk to my buddy. I'm like, hey, dude, did you see what happened? And I was like, dude, 8 minutes of game clock. I came in right after they took the lead. And I'm like, dude, what in the world? He's like, how are they ahead? They were garbage all night. Everybody saw what we saw. And if you didn't see, you should go watch it. Look up their celebration in after the game. Kevin O'Connell put this dude up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And quite literally, like that's how he ended his post-game speech to the team, was just like, hey, JJ got it done when it mattered. I believed in him. You guys believed him. You knew he could do it. And all he did was be exactly who we thought he was. Yeah. And it was pretty impressive, like just watching the whole thing go down. Super excited for that. That's just great football. That's why we love the NFL. It's amazing to see what's happening right now with that team and how things are going.
I was watching that Bears-Vikings game last night. I was taking some notes on my phone. I was like, I better just like jot some stuff down just to see, because it seemed like early on you have Caleb Williams and, that Ben Johnson offense. They go 10 for 10. They march down the field. They score. I'm like, okay, like that looks pretty good. And by the way, the game didn't end up being that great for him, but Caleb Williams, his legs were doing some work for him. I thought he looked very fast and he looked very aggressive early on. And he made that one as he was rolling out to the right, escaping the pocket, hits a Dunze on the sideline there, which is an absolute missile. And that's the stuff that I was like, okay, like I wondered for a second. I was like, I wonder if that's like the mini version of what Sean McVay saw when he watches Matthew Stafford play. He's like, I want that. And I want to be able to like play my game with that on my team versus like a Jared Goff, for example, where you can just roll out, have all the arm talent in the world. Got really sloppy. I think Caleb slowly teetered off after that. I don't think they had scored until later in that game. Their offense didn't do anything. Essentially, I think they had 3 points following their opening drive for the longest time up until the end of the game. But as JJ is seemingly having a collapse, because I had written down, I was like, ooh, rough JJ McCarthy debut. And then I like came back to the note about like halfway through the third quarter and I was like, unless question mark. And then sure enough, he goes down and does what he does for the rest of the game. And following the game, and I saw this during the game too, where he's like really firing up his guys on the sidelines, even when they're getting cooked. And I was like, I'm kind of starting to like this guy. I don't think he looks very good. I've never been high on him, but like I kind of he's got some moxie to him. I think they were saying that in the broadcast. And then sure enough, finishes the game the way that he does. Apparently there's a soundbite. I don't know if they have the soundbite or if somebody just quoted him saying this. They are in the huddle, JJ McCarthy with this team, and they're staring down the barrel of this deficit, whatever it was at the time. And he like looked at his guys and he was like, "Is there anywhere else you'd rather be?" And I was like, that is a Harbaugh disciple right there. And I was like, this guy might actually cause some problems later on. I don't want to overreact, but I was like, yeah, it's like, isn't this just like the best day of our jobs right now here? Basically, we're here prime time, getting our rear end kicked in, and still that was the mindset. And then they went off and did it, and he had the rushing touchdown to help seal it. And I was like, you know what? I still don't know if I believe in the talent yet, because you could even just tell the difference between a Sam Darnold led team initially versus this JJ McCarthy team. I was like, ooh, they look very limited. And usually if a coach is telling me that, that means like maybe doesn't trust letting him go sling it out there, and then the bad pick six. But following that and the things that I heard about him and his character after the game, I was like, okay, you might be able to do much worse than this, even if he's not going to have just the straight measurables and talent that you would see if you like plop a Sam Darnold in that offense. Very rough game from both teams, but I think if you're a Vikings fan, you're still cautiously optimistic, but you can at least come away from that saying, hey, we got the high character guy who's not going to quit, who is essentially a rookie and is still taking control of this team. And also that coaching staff is just still bonkers. So you feel good about that.
Yeah, and we say it all the time. You can't replicate speed. And this guy hadn't seen football, really, like high-level football for, what was that, 20 months. I hadn't seen anything. And so give him 3 quarters and then let him go ham. Okay, yeah. Took a little time, but the training wheels are off, man. So I'm excited for week 2 to see if he can keep it rolling for Minnesota and what that's going to look like. We'll certainly be paying attention, and he definitely made a lot of football fans a fan of him this Monday night for sure. Last game of the week, Niners crawl away from Seattle with a win. This game was 17-13. Honestly, if there weren't a lot of heavy opinions on this crew about these two teams, we probably wouldn't bother with this one. We're being real honest. There's a couple main storylines here. Defenses for both teams look real good. We were not shocked at that. We knew that was going to be the story heading in. 49ers suffer a significant injury to George Kittle. He just got placed on the IR today with a hamstring. It looks like it was a grade 1 strain, they're saying, but at his age, just turning 31, they're not going to take any chances. Niners have been very conservative with injuries, and they should be because they have a lot of them all the time. He goes out, and then the other main storyline, really for as a 49er fan, was that Brock Purdy looked not good. And that should make you nervous as a 49er fan. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, being really real. One of those touchdowns could have just as easily been a 3rd interception.
I thought it was for half a second.
Everybody thought it was. I
if
literally
he goes
said
after the
no
ball
and then said yes. My wife watched my emotions go yep, real quick. But no, that was a pretty pedestrian effort for both quarterbacks, really. But that was more of Darnold not taking a lot of chances, Brock taking too many. There should have been some middle ground there, maybe from the 2 quarterbacks. Yeah. Got a little better play overall. But yeah, the Niners do walk away with 17-13 in a game that it felt like Seattle could have won a couple of different ways and maybe should have. But Niners continue to roll in their travels up to Seattle. I believe Brock, is he 4 or 5-0 in Seattle now as the 49ers starting quarterback. Yeah, there's a little bit of takeaway there, but this game ended incredibly. I will say that. The 4th quarter was super entertaining. Darnold's pass down the sideline to JSN was fantastic. Exposed the middle of the 49er defense. They were playing a really soft, deep coverage. JSN sneaks underneath at a great throw from Darnold, gets the ball up close, and a couple plays later, he's quite literally about to throw possibly the game-winning touchdown.
He was open.
The Niners
on the flat.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Niners had given him over a minute on the clock after scoring the almost interception that ended up being a touchdown to Tongas. And as he goes to throw the ball, Nick Bosa reminds us why he makes $30 million a year and pushes Abraham Lucas into Sam Darnold's arm, knocks the ball loose, gets credit for a strip sack, then jumps on the fumble and seals the win for the 49ers right down near the end zone. As a 49er fan, obviously I'm elated, breathing a sigh of relief, but only because we got the win. Because I did not love most of what I saw out of my team. I know that there's a lot of replacements coming for the 49ers. I expected back in a month. They are looking forward to Demarcus Robinson in 3 weeks, coming off the injury list. They signed Kendrick Bourne already this week. Juwan Jennings apparently missed significant injury to his shoulder today. So that receiving core is going to look very different in just a few weeks. CMC made it through the game, injury-free. But now the 49ers are waiting on Brock to see how his toe is feeling. Apparently got a little injury there that he'll be dealing with. It sounds like he's going to be good to go. They were a little concerned about it yesterday, but today they were a lot less concerned about it, put it that way. But the 49ers defense came out whole, and Bob Saleh, holy crap. All that dude does is arrange one heck of a defense, and had a lot of that defense humming on Sunday. That was really cool as a 49er fan to see your guy back, and I'm super glad that he took the opportunity to come back to the 49ers after coaching the Jets for a few years, and we appreciate his return. We also appreciate the bye-bye to Jake Moody that happened today.
Bummer.
See ya. Holy crud.
Okay, I'll be honest. One of those is not his fault.
Oh, the
blocked field goal. Yeah, like that. That's not his fault.
Sure. But Jake Moody was 16 for 29 in his career from 40-plus yards. In those same 3 years, the guy who is going to be replacing him, Eddie Pinheiro, is 36 for 42. And Eddie, over the 6 seasons in his career, has never missed more than 5 kicks in a year. Freaking Jake Moody does that on a bad day. I am so happy he is done. Every 49er fan is, and every Seahawk fan wishes he was still playing for him. But, yeah, dude, I'm missing a 27-yarder from the left hash as a right-footed kicker. That is a cardinal sin.
It's like missing a right-handed layup as a right-handed shooter.
Dude, it was bad. It was really bad. I'm not necessarily putting that on him. There's a lot of people that tried to say that there was a delay from Moody on that, but it looked like, honestly, it was more the holder, that Morstead didn't get it down clean. And that's a new unit working together first week, to be fair about that. But obviously the 49ers had had enough. The look on Shanahan's face, you saw it. Grant was celebrating immensely when that happened, when he missed that 27-yard, doinked it off the left up.
Oh, I was texting one of my friends who's a Seahawks fan. I was like, that was like a nightmare minute for you guys. Like, you missed that. You just walk, and then we go and kick a field goal to end the half when you guys could have doubled up. Could have doubled up on points right there. That was perfect for the Seahawks. The worst case scenario for the Niners.
So bad. I was going to agree with your perspective, Grant. Like, after watching your team, which I want to agree with 2 things that you said about your team. One, Charbonnet is better than Ken Walker all day.
Come on. And I drafted him,
I don't understand why Walker's out there and Charbonnet is taking back seat even between the 30s. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Charbonnet is the back. He looks fantastic.
Yep.
All credit to him. He made our lives difficult. He was definitely running against a couple rookie DTs at times, and he made it look like it, dude.
Yeah.
Want to agree with that completely. Also, didn't love the play calling. Why the crud are you kicking that field goal on 4th and a foot after Kupp got stopped short? That was brutal.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things. I know that as you were a Niner fan, the way that I knew that it was bad calls, I'm sure that you were elated that they kicked the field goal up the fourth and one.
I was so excited. Lost my mind. I'm like, that is bad management. Thank you.
Yeah, like, we would have gotten the 1 yard. Like, Charbonnet had maybe 1 or 2 like negative runs. Like, he at least got 2 yards most of his carries.
Oh,
like, there's maybe a couple.
You take the shot there, dude. You guys were driving the ball so well on that drive.
Yeah.
The fact that you were even at a position on 3rd down where you had that 3rd and long was just because of the bad play call to the north that got stopped behind the line. So before, that's the only reason. I hated it. I genuinely hated that.
To me, that was a lot of it. Like, I'm not the type because the Niners obviously won it. Nick Bosa showed up when he needed to, but like the Seahawks handed you guys the game. I really do
Didn't
think
take
so.
advantage.
And
That's what it
yeah,
felt like. They
like
did not take advantage of
that.
some opportunity.
Like, dude, Brock Purdy was pressured 57.9% of his dropbacks. Like,
And I think 12 out of his first 16.
like
No
they were in
joke.
his face the whole time, and like that to me shows, I think, a couple things like that, and it was a lot of it was interior too.
Yes.
And so,
In my estimation, I've watched highlights from every single game this week. Okay. You guys had, from what I saw, and maybe the only rival on this is Cleveland, but you have the best interior rush
Leonard Williams
in
is
the
so
league.
good, and he's still so underrated.
So good.
But yeah, so like that was good. I did not love the play calling at all. I did not love like them trying to get cute when they were up, like doing that little sideways pass to Jason to Charbonnet that went nowhere because he overthrew it. Like you're up there. I didn't love a couple snaps. They gave one to Jalen Milroe, like the second play of the game, for a direct snap. And
Yeah,
I'm
it was
like,
weird.
what? I'm like, I understand you're trying to get him stuff, but like, it's the beginning of the game. You're not trying to get cute. You don't need a spark. Like you do that kind of stuff when you need a spark, and they didn't need that. So I didn't love that. But honestly, overall, I'm very happy with one thing. Sam Darnold got sacked one time at the end of the game, and he was hardly pressured. He wasn't pressured a whole lot in that game. He had a clean pocket most of the time, which is a massive win for this team when that was what they were trying to do this offseason is figure that out. And against a pretty solid Niners defense, one sack and maybe a handful of pressures, like he was clean most of the time. Sam Darnold was. And so, holy cow, that was a win. That was a win for me. And I also didn't love that JSN got targeted 13 times out of Darnold's 26. Cup only got targeted 3 times. Like,
and I don't think he got his first one till late in the first half.
Yeah, like I did not love, and our tight end got two targets. Like I did not love them just trying to just force feed it to Jason. Now he had over 100 yards, he had 124 yards.
Yeah, 2 really big catches.
And 2 big yeah. But I did not love that game plan, and I did not love them playing scared with Darnold. The guy can sling it, so like freaking let him like. And also, that was the other thing. One play action pass, the thing that he thrives in, the thing that is his strength.
Holy cow.
One play action pass, and it was a completion for 20 yards.
Which is wild because he played an insane percentage of the snaps under center.
Yeah, 1. It was the lowest rated play action pass of all of week 1, 4.2%. So that's supposed to be what Clint Kubiak does. I don't know if he got scared. The play calling just seemed really scared and timid. Like, again, live by the sword, die by the sword. Apparently that's my thing this week. But I would have much rather them like him try and just huck a 30, 40-yard pass. Like, he did not throw a lot of big ones until they needed him to. And I don't love it when you play shy the whole game and then you need him to make a play. I don't love that. I like to be some more balance. So especially with the offense being in the offseason being like, yeah, we're going to do play action. That's what Sam Darnold thrives at. And then to do it one time. But to me, all that stuff's fixable.
Oh, yeah.
For real. It's all fixable. So
those are going to be 2 good football teams, health dependent for the 49ers, some scheme learning here, and there's a lot of newness up in Seattle for sure. New OC, new quarterback. That stuff's going to take time to develop. New number 2 wide receiver.
New number 3 wide receiver.
Yep, and it's going to take time. And I think that Mike wrote one thing in our notes that I didn't mention earlier. He would refer to it as sloppy play. I would say that we're still ramping up. Across the league for week 1, we're still ramping up. There's some teams that were ready, super ready for week 1. There were some teams that looked like they took first half off. There was a few teams that took the entire game off. I'm talking to you, New York Giants, and obviously the Dolphins. But yeah, we're still ramping up, and you only have 3 preseason games now. Everybody's terrified to get their $30 million plus players injured in preseason, so nobody's touching the field until it's time. I even saw, it's a rare thing to see Trent Williams get a holding call in a game, and he did not play well for the 49ers at all. That stuff's really difficult. He also didn't practice the last 2 days before this game. That's normal for him at this point in his career, but we're still climbing. There's a lot of good football ahead of us. I want to talk about some of that before we end the night. We've got coming up in week 2. The Commanders are playing at the Packers. I don't know how I missed this one on the schedule originally. So excited for that. Those are 2 obvious playoff picks, and we've said nothing but good things other than me being a little mo-hum about the Commanders not being able to do a little more to the Giants, but in terms of score. But that's going to be amazing. Games in Lambeau. I personally don't love just outright picking the Packers at home because it is the Commanders. But after what I saw last week, I got no reason not to. Packers didn't do anything wrong, and look elite in almost every phase of the game. I haven't seen him kick a whole bunch of field goals or anything. I'm taking the Packers at home. Jamison, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers. You got another week for Micah Parsons. Going to get some more snaps. Might help mitigate some of the Jaden Daniels playmaking. I also do think that as good as that Commanders defense looked against a Giants team that was very much struggling to output offense, I think you're going to definitely have a certain Josh Jacobs maybe running the ball down your throat a little bit against an older, maybe less dominant defense on that side of things amongst what Love can do in the past game. And yeah, they win regular season games and it's in Lambeau. Short week game. Kind of sucks that this is like a short week kind of game. This is the Thursday night. And maybe there's something to be said there. So those games never go according to plan. But I feel like the Packers, it's just hard to not pick them right now. So
yeah, usually I try to get cute, but I don't. This is not one
spiritual zags here.
This is not one I feel to do that. Just what I saw against a Lions team that's much more talented in terms of skill position players. So yeah, I'm gonna go Packers on that for sure.
My bad. I should have started this segment by saying last week Grant and Mike went 3-2 in picks. Jamison went 4-1. Yours truly went 5-0.
Yeah, Ravens kind of hosed me there. Blowing that game, that was the only one I didn't get. And I think that was the one that you and I were flip-flopped on there, was you had Bills, I had Ravens.
Our second game is going to be the Bears at the Lions. These two teams in divisions both started with a loss this last week. Neither team can afford to go down to 0-2. Love the drama of Ben Johnson returning to Detroit in week 2. And NFL schedule makers, they know what they're doing. Okay, they're poised for all the drama. I will again go first on this one. Man, when in doubt, you take the better roster. And they also happen to be at home, so I'm going to go Lions here. But if you're asking me, this goes either way. This is the most 50-50 of all these games we're going to pick for me personally. The Bears were doing a great job on the defensive side of the ball last week, so we'll see what happens here. But I like the Lions in a real close one. I'd put this over. This is like a 3.5 for me on the over. Yeah, by 3.5.
Yeah, I think this is our closest one too, just because I don't know, like, what did we see in the Lions? Is that cause for major concern? Is that cause for 1 week and sloppiness of not playing their guys? But I don't know if I can see a Lions team starting 0-2. I can see a Bears team starting 0-2.
Yep.
That's where I land on that.
We were assuming it looking at that schedule.
Yeah, I think so.
Fair to you on that, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Lions as well.
What about you, Jason?
And I just don't feel super great about it.
Yeah, I also feel the same. This is one that I'm going to have my eyes pretty close on. Again, I think that Ben Johnson versus the Detroit Lions thing is going to be a lot of fun. If they would have finished the game yesterday, I might have actually leaned Chicago, even just by a little bit. But with it being in Detroit, and again, just the Lions are going to get up for this game. It's a rivalry game on top of the coaching personnel situation here. Yeah, I'm going to lean Detroit. Wouldn't be entirely shocked, though, if Chicago comes out, because maybe we're all wrong this year and the Lions are the team that actually have that regression.
Won't be shocked. This is one where this is not a lock. I feel way better about the Packers playing the Commanders than I do about this. This is not a lock. If we're wrong on this one, okay, I'm good.
If I was trying to play the pick'em game and be like, I'm just going to purposefully zag on one just to see if I can get the points, like, this would be the one where I'd maybe take that opportunity. But it's a new year, we're all close enough. I don't feel like it's time to take those risks yet. So
it's okay. I think we're coming up to a zag game. Our next one is Broncos Colts. Grant, what are you taking?
The Colts played a complete game. They did.
We saw the Daniel Jones stat, right?
Yeah, he's the first quarterback in this century to go 7 for 7 on offensive drives and score points. Tom Brady never did that, guys. Tom Brady never did that. Drew Brees never did that. Phillip Rivers never did it. Peyton Manning never did it.
That's crazy.
Daniel freaking Jones did. And that defense looked good, and that offense looked good. I'm going Colts. Battle of the horses. Going Colts, dude. And I feel confident.
Jamison.
I would love for the Colts to win because once again, directly supports my Broncos are going to be taking a step back narrative, but I'm just going to rely on what I know here, and that Broncos defense is still legit. And the offense or the defense that Danny Dimes team just played was very much not legit. So even though this is a home game for them, I expect the Broncos, with the coaching situation that they have going on there, to be tightened up a little bit. And if anything, the Broncos defense is still going to carry them across the goal line here, even if that offense is maybe still trying to figure out what's going on. I can't like confidently say that Daniel Jones is going to go out there and beat the Broncos defense. I
No,
just can't.
nobody can
can't do it.
confidently say anything positive about Danny. We don't know. We just don't know. If last week was an indicator, okay. But personally, I think he just played a really bad team. Like, I really do. That's got to be the worst secondary in the league. And I think he just played a really bad team. I'm taking the Broncos here. I am not going to crown the Colts Super Bowl champions as one.
Okay, I'm not doing
that. No, one widely popular show did this week because that individual loves this team.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Shane Steichen is an offensive guy. Brian Dable was too, and look what happened.
I was going to say.
Never mind. I'll ignore that part.
No, I'm taking the Broncos. I just think, man, that was a wake-up call this week. But also, Titans probably going to surprise a few people. They may get a couple more wins than maybe we projected. Don't get me wrong, I'm not calling them they're going to have a winning record or anything, but that defense is legit. So I'll go with the Broncos there. No frills on the assessment. Massive game though coming up because another team does have a chance to go 0-2 against a team that they would like to get revenge on for what happened just 6 months ago in the Super Bowl. 7 months ago, my bad. The Eagles are playing at Arrowhead in week 2. How do we get that in week 2?
Usually it's a week 1. We've seen the Super Bowl rematches in week 1.
This is crazy. But yeah, week 2, you would think, the division matchup or one, you get the ones going against each other from last year on the schedule, maybe one division winner playing another. But Eagles at Chiefs, Jamison, you're going first. Good freaking luck.
Ooh. Yeah, this Commanders, Packers, Bears, Lions aside, this is definitely the one that has given me the most pause here. I decided I am going to lean Chiefs. I don't feel great about it, but they are at home. And if these are probably two of the teams that benefit the most from being at home. So I guess it's up to the Chiefs to prove that is still the case, given the disparity on these rosters right now. I'm certainly not looking at these two teams and being like, oh yeah, the Chiefs will win because they're the better team, because they aren't. And the last time they played, that was very obvious, and not a ton has changed since then. I will say I was a little, disappointment's not even the word because I don't like the Eagles, but I would say I was like a little disappointed in what that Eagles team did against the Cowboys on opening night. Again, lots of variables there. It's week 1. It's banner night. There's a weather delay, but they didn't look like they were the defending Super Bowl champions in the way that they were executing a lot. And most of it was Jalen Hurts just doing his thing. So I am going to say Chiefs. Not going to be surprised if the Eagles win, and I'm also not going to overreact and panic if the Chiefs start 0-2, because those are not two easy games to start your year, no matter how you slice them. Even if you do have the Chargers number, you're playing in Brazil, and then you're playing at home against the defending Super Bowl champs who just beat the crap out of you back in February. So I'm going to say Chiefs, but I'm not going to be surprised if it goes the other way, and I'm not going to overreact either way.
Quick assessment on me for this one. I just don't pick against the Chiefs at home. It's just a bad call. That's that if you're a gambling individual, don't recommend. But if you do that, you don't pick against the Chiefs at home. Week 1 loss doesn't mean a lot. I think the way the Eagles won in week 1 does matter a lot. As you pointed out there, they didn't look great. The Chiefs clearly have some things to do, but I just trust Andy Reid, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong. If both of these teams could lose, that'd be dope.
A tie.
It is real weird for me as a 49er fan to be cheering for the Eagles 2 weeks in a row, because I am. In order, it is still Seahawks. Hate them.
I thought Cowboys.
Cowboys. Sorry, I did it wrong. Cowboys, hate them for life. Seahawks, absolutely hate them. Then it's the Chiefs. Then it's the Eagles. Okay, those are 4 teams that I am never sad when they lose. Unfortunately, I've got one of them playing 2 of them in the first 2 weeks.
Oh, we didn't even make the cut. That's interesting.
No, the Rams did not. Hey, what have you done to us lately?
I can think of an NFC championship
You can
game.
think of a game 5 years ago. Shut up. But no, I definitely do. I know. I freaking know. You don't have to point it out. I was rooting for the Bengals. But no, genuinely, I just think the Chiefs at home. That's all it is.
Yeah. I want to Zag to try and get a game, but this is not. You don't try to do that against the Chiefs. I got my Zag on the Colts. I'll keep that there. I just can't see a Chiefs team starting 0-2. Like both teams that played in the Super Bowl going 1-1 to start the season. That's just right with me. So I'll take that. I'm going Chiefs as well.
Last one of the night as we wrap it up. The Chargers are playing at the Raiders. I love this one in week 2. We did not talk about the Raiders tonight. They came out and beat the Pats on the road to start the season. Just fine. Gino
Wheeling and dealing,
just
baby.
fine. Pete Carroll had his team ready, and none of us are shocked. I loved what Chip did for that offense. It wasn't crazy aggressive. It fit the scheme or the skill sets of the individuals, and he didn't try and out-scheme them. Genty had somewhat pedestrian numbers for his first game, did get in the end zone. Like that for him. And I thought they spread the ball around really well. Bowers escaped major injury, by the way. He'll be fine and back in week 2. That was pretty nerve-wracking there if you're a fantasy owner. But to spread the ball around with Jacoby, loved the long pass to Trey Tucker, burning the top of the defense there, catching it in the end zone. A lot to like about what the Raiders did, especially offensively. I'm not surprised their defense was able to keep them in it against a pretty mid-Pats offense. I was a little surprised that the Pats didn't do a little more with the running game, but you got to imagine that Raiders front is pretty difficult. Their defensive line looks real good. But, yeah, that secondary still can get exposed, and they don't have the linebacking crew to hold with a lot of teams.
Tell me Jamal Adams can't get it done?
When you have to bring Jamal Adams in to play linebacker, your linebacking crew sucks. Because guess what? He's not a linebacker.
He is, but he isn't.
Yeah, but he is today. But no, I like this game a lot. Chargers obviously coming off a massive high. Raiders coming off a massive high. One of these teams is leaving 2-1. Who is it, Grant?
I think
you know what you want to pick?
Yeah.
But you know what you're going to pick.
I'm going to pick the Las Vegas Seahawks, baby. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Seahawks, the AFC Hawks.
That's what I'm doing.
Raiders in week 2.
Dude, I'm going to go Raiders.
Things you wouldn't have thought 6 months ago.
Okay,
no.
There's the Zag that I wasn't expecting, given we just had Eagles and Chiefs.
Come on. I'm going to take it. I'm taking Raiders.
You know what? If I wouldn't have said it, he probably would have landed Chargers. I provoke him all the time. That's what I do.
Dude, I was like right up there with you guys last year.
You just got Jalen Carter rage baited. He spit in your direction and you walked up to him.
I'm not rage baited.
And you said, you know what? I'm
spit on me, man.
Raiders.
He just spit on me.
Gino, baby. I'm a Gino believer.
Jamison, who you taking?
A Gino believer. It's very interesting. It's almost like you could have had Geno Smith on your team and you would
have
won that game.
Exact same
I'm aware.
money as you paid the other guy.
Yeah.
Gino didn't want to stay, okay? I can't control that. I can't control anything my team does anyway.
Hey, that's what the money's for. Anyways, this is they're hitting us with that double feature Monday Night Football. Sometimes I still don't know if I love it or hate it.
Don't like it.
I would rather just have that be on Sunday because then you take away from like a midday slot or something. This is in Vegas, but I'm still going to roll with the Chargers here. Really liked what I saw from Vegas and wasn't really surprised to see them get the dub and have Geno throw it all around the ballpark, especially with Christian Gonzalez being out. It's a tough loss for the Patriots, but I don't see how, as good as that Vegas defense happened to play on Sunday, I just don't see them. I guess to put it this way, if we watched Chiefs defense struggle in the ways that they did against the Chargers defense, I don't know how Vegas has any to stand on as far as being an improvement from that, other than the fact that they're just playing on the correct continent this time. So I'm going to go Chargers, but I will say there is now a world where the Chiefs can be 0-2 and the Raiders can be 2-0, and then there are going to be a lot of people that go on TV and say some really crazy things, and some of them, depending on how things go, might not be entirely wrong. But that's just... It's a thing that can happen. I'm still going Chargers here, though.
I just want to note that after week 2, either the Chargers or the Raiders are going to be at the top of the division.
Yep.
After week 2. I didn't have that one in the old bingo card. Yeah. Oh, my bad. The Broncos could be, but okay. Sure. Technically, I think it's points scored first or division win. So either one of those has got to be your tiebreaker. One of those two, probably division wins.
But how huge for the Chargers
guys is gonna be
to open 2-0 in division? That is huge.
That'd be
if
huge.
They get that.
But no, I gotta say. Oh, by the way, on the timing of this, 4:00 Pacific for the first game, which is the Bucs Texans, and then 7:00 Pacific for this game. So that sucks for those of you watching on the East Coast. Like 10 p.m. start. Again, this does not need to happen. No. It just doesn't. And if we were doing that, I'd rather do that on Sunday, dude. I really would. That just doesn't make sense. Why is Tuesday morning going to be death for these East Coast fans? That just doesn't make a lot of sense. Mondays suck anyway, man. Just put it on Sunday night. But then you are giving Chris Collinsworth. Never mind. Anyway, let's
wrap this up.
Chargers. Let's just go there. Chargers, and for all the reasons that you would think. By the way, rookie running backs. Great quarterback matchup.
Coach matchup?
Dear Lord. That's all the fun.
Oh, they get oh my gosh.
That's a Harbaugh Carroll matchup.
This is the first time.
Yep. Because they were NFC West foes.
Wow.
For many years when Harbaugh was coaching the Niners.
Harbaugh's so different now, though. There's not going to be any. It's not going to be.
Oh, no, they're not like. Harbaugh is not the crazy scream at people guy that he used to be.
It's completely
He's
different.
Mr. Hugs. He just loves him, some Justin Herbert. Just all the time. He's just a hugger.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to wrap it right there for week 1 of the NFL season. There was so much good that came out of that. I hope you guys enjoyed walking it out with us and are pumped for this next week. I'm going to drop 2 things as we walk out of the episode. One is to the individuals who will not stop dropping Lord Farquaad on every single post that we make on social media. I love both of you, and it's hilarious, and don't stop. Also, you need to show the other photo. The other photo that I know you have needs to show up on all these posts. I've been waiting to say that for several days. So you know who you are. Keep it up. If you do it, I will put you on this show. I will let you come here and talk to us into a microphone on the show. We will give you a couple of minutes.
Gosh, dang it, you suck.
It's so fun, dude. Also, I just totally blanked on what the other thing was. Holy cow.
Oh, I know it. Matt, you and I are had the exact same score in fantasy in the A-League, and now we are facing each other. So I hope you lose.
Oh, that's what it was. Jamison. That sucked. Jamison took the L in the guillotine.
We didn't even remember I was in that league, to be honest. So that's all right by me.
It was not good. You didn't have a bad roster.
I was not there to draft it either, so I don't even know who I had.
You had Justin Jefferson.
Of no consequence.
Oh,
yeah. Grant's about to get welcomed to the A-League because I told everybody to not let me do a certain thing, and they let me do that thing. You let me have Josh Allen at the end of the 3rd round. You were all dumb, and you will now lose. As everybody got to witness this last week, I was at 109 points at the 4-minute marker of the Sunday Night Football game, and I finished at 133. It's going to keep
Guess who also scored 133, Matt? I did.
That's cute. Most of my team took the week off. They're just holding it in reserve for me. So I'm super pumped for fantasy. Hope you guys are too. We'll get to more of that week to week as we get into the season and how much I'm just making people's dreams disappear every little bit that we get through, every week that we go past. Just, there it is, and you suck again. Can't wait to talk it out and help you guys out with a little bit of that stuff. But hope you are looking forward to week 2 just as much as we are. This is Sportsify. We will see you next week for all the fun again as we get back into NFL Week 2.